Just literally 2 or 3 minutes ago, we were informed that our friend Craig Sager has passed away. I'm very sorry to inform you all. Craig, as so many of you know, had such a valiant fight against leukemia. He was diagnosed in 2014. He went through 3 bone marrow transplants, each one tougher than the last. And I have to tell you, having had so many conversations with him and his family along the way Craig fought this spoke so much to the kind of life that he lived, the kind of values that he had, and the family that he had around him. His son was one of his bone marrow donors. His wife, Stacy, who has been incredible by his side. They just celebrated their anniversary yesterday, and I know it was important for Craig to be able to do that. I know it was important for him to be at one of his children, Riley's, basketball games earlier this week when his doctors told him that there was no more that they could do for him. He fought it. I was talking to his son just a couple days ago. He did not want to start hospice or go into the last stage of treatment, but he knew that he was leaving his family in good hands and that they had been able to absorb so much of his strength. I want to turn now to the people on set with me, Brian Windhorst, Tracy McGrady. Tracy, you were interviewed by Craig so many times over the years. We're getting some buzzing in our ears, so I think we're just going to take this out and talk.
This is a sad day, man. This hurts. And Craig was just one of those guys full of energy. As a guy that was interviewed by him several times, there was never a time where I felt like I didn't want to talk to Craig Sager. Like, no matter what was going on, he just made me feel comfortable. He just made me feel like I want to have a conversation with him. He would truly be missed. He fought the hell out of this, and I'm hurting today, seriously.
He had stages to what he left us. I mean, he brought us so much joy, not only because of the way he dressed, which certainly defined him, not only the way he did his job. He was fearless. He didn't maybe look like he was fearless the way that, but he was fearless in doing that job. He was never afraid to ask tough questions. He had so much experience. There was never a situation that he couldn't handle. A lot of times in a tough spot, whether it was a Greg Popovich interview, I don't mean during the game, I mean post-game, which is just as stressful, not as many people watching. He would handle it. We sort of leaned on him to handle it. And then this last couple of years where he set such an example for people. I mean, his energy that he showed at the ESPYs last year, and that, I just remember watching him. I couldn't imagine how he was able to summon the energy to make that speech. And what he was doing was sending a message about how you have to have the spirit to fight. And so he leaves a very diversified legacy.
Yes.
And we should celebrate all of it. And the NBA, in a way, was given a gift. They were able to celebrate Craig during the last years of his life so that he could see how much he was appreciated.
And you bring up, how we all had him handle things for us. I think the suits and the crazy persona sort of hid some fact how good he was. I remember so clearly so many times watching Craig do his job and think, that's what I want to do. And it wasn't about the shirt he was wearing.
The thing that was just great about Craig, the fact that he never took offense to anyone talking about his suits. I can remember him interviewing KG, and KG told him, look, what I need you to do is take this suit off and throw it away and never wear it again. Like, he never got offense by that.
Yeah. He had the spirit of what we all love so much about sports. Craig knew how fun all of this was supposed to be. He brought all of us in to have fun with him. He was, of course, a tireless worker. And the way that he continued with his job after he was diagnosed, I think there are a lot of people who would have said, you know what, I'm going to pull back now. I'm going to see what I can do to fight this. And Craig would always say, this is how I'm fighting it. And the people who knew him would understand what he meant. Being around the game, being around the people that he loved and the sports that he loved, it brought him so much incredible energy. It gave him a reason to get up. I remember talking to his wife, Stacy, when Craig was sort of trapped in the hospital in Houston for a long time in one of his treatment cycles. And she just said he's going crazy because he's watching all these games and he can't go be there. And that speaks to just who who he was and how much he loved this game and how much in debt we all are to him. He was inducted into the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame just a couple nights ago. And I said here on this show, I was shocked that hadn't happened a long time ago. This was not some sort of, gee, we know you're sick achievement award. I mean, he earned it.
Right.
He started doing this job in 1972. He did some incredible baseball reporting long before he got to the NBA. He was in so many amazing places and moments in sports for so long. In a
Also
way,
part of the Olympics coverage.
Olympics coverage.
And he was part of our Team USA that we would send internationally.
Right.
We would export him as well.
I just think we were all lucky to have been part of the NBA at a time that Craig was. And just as a colleague, too, I just want to say that I did work at TNT for 3 years with Craig, and the generosity of spirit that he showed in that time. He was always great to me before that, and I was lucky enough to know him and his family before that, but then getting to actually work with him at some events and sort of be part of that TNT family. It is an incredibly close-knit group over at Turner. They're a smaller operation than we are here at ESPN, and I think we all here want to send out our best thoughts, not just to all the kids and to Stacy and to the larger Sager family, but also to the Turner family, because he had been there for 20 years and he was certainly a family member to all those people there. So I'm so devastated. I'm not sure I even know what to say. I knew this was coming. Been talking to his family over the last few days, but I'm not sure anything prepares you for this. So we're going to take a quick break. We will be back with more of The Jump, and we'll talk basketball as Craig loved to do. Thank you. We're back here at The Jump. Oh, there we go. We're back here at The Jump. Again, I've got some buzzing in my ear. I'm going to take that out. But we are sorry to hear of the passing of our friend, Craig Sager. We have a statement from Turner President David Levy. Quote, Craig was a beloved member of the Turner family for more than 3 decades, and he has been a true inspiration to all of us. There will never be another Craig Sager. His incredible talent, his tireless work ethic, and his commitment to his craft took him all over the world covering sports. While he will be remembered fondly for his colorful attire and the TNT sideline interviews he conducted with NBA coaches and players, it's the determination, grace, and will to live he displayed during his battle with cancer that will be his lasting impact. Our thoughts and prayers are with Craig's wife, Stacy, and the entire Sager family during this difficult time. We will forever be Sager strong. It's a beautiful statement from David, who, again, I have to just commend all of Turner Sports, who have been so supportive of Craig during his battle. We, of course, have prepared a tribute to Craig, voiced by John Anderson. Take a look. Oh, I'm told that we don't have that quite ready yet, so I think we're going to talk a little bit more. How hard was it to do, Brian, what Craig did? Because we're talking about in the moment, during a game. You mentioned Greg Popovich, and that's, of course, the famous ones. But it's not just that. It's not just dealing with an ornery coach. It's knowing what to say in the right moment.
It was 10 years ago that they started doing these interviews within the games. It was incredibly challenging to do that, to talk to a coach. I mean, you've done it many times. You've been on the front line of it. It was almost made for Craig, though, because he had this ability to be serious but also be disarming. I would say it was almost his greatest asset, was his ability to go into that situation and handle it. Handle a situation where the coach didn't want to talk, but the fans really wanted to hear from it. And it was a really ingenious idea that probably couldn't have gone off with other people. And he will be the signature of that. You should probably call it the Sager interview from here on out, because without him, I don't even know if it would have lasted.
For Pop to have that type of personality, and you see the other reporters going up there and they're shaking in their boots. And,
literally.
Craig just had the courage and knew what to say at the right time, and didn't care, what type of personality that, Pop wanted to portray that night. I mean, he was just willing to ask any question, and he got the answer.
All right, we do have that obituary from John Anderson now. We'd like to run it.
Jason Powell for the Clippers meeting with the coaching staff to discuss Chris Paul, but still no Derrick Rose, at least for tonight. The Indianapolis 500 and the Eastern Conference Finals in the same city on the same day. Well, Doc, after a long
He became famous for a career standing on the sidelines. Yet Craig Sager was always very much in the middle of things.
It's 7:15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
That's 22-year-old Sager, getting the first interview with new home run king Hank Aaron at home plate seconds after number 715. He's the one in plain white. The Technicolor clothes didn't catch anybody's eye until later, until after he wore the Willie Wildcat costume at his alma mater, Northwestern. After he slept in a stall with Triple Crown winner Seattle Slew at the Belmont. After he joined a fledgling cable news network in its first year. Between CNN, then TBS, TNT, and others, Sager covered college football, the World Series, World Cup soccer, even Olympic curling. But it's the NBA that always seemed to suit the man best.
It's a nice suit you got on there. Easter passed, though. Easter already went by.
All right, thanks a lot.
His sartorial splendor matched perfectly with the league.
You know, I didn't recognize you right away. I thought you were the good humor ice cream man at first, standing over here on the sideline.
Recognizability mixed with constant, good-natured ribbing.
You take this and you burn it.
There's not any part I can keep?
No, nothing. So when you get done with this, you should be butt naked.
Ironically, Sager's suits only clashed with his straightforward interview style. And with Spurs coach Greg Popovich as his foil, the between quarters Q&A became first-rate TV.
How can you be that professional in a suit that looks like that?
What was the key?
I think they were looking at your suit.
We got to do this in the preseason? Are you kidding me?
Part of the
In the
contract.
preseason, we got to do this?
Short answers,
No.
long on respect. As Sager battled leukemia, Pop was among the most poignant voices.
You did a great job, but I'd rather have your dad standing here. That's just Craig. We miss you. You've been an important part of all this for a long time, doing a great job. We want your Fanny back on the court, and I promise I'll be nice. Get back here.
Well, yes and no.
I got to honestly tell you, this is the first time I've enjoyed doing this ridiculous interview we're required to do, and it's because you're here and you're back with us. Welcome back, baby.
Well, thank you very much. I lay in the hospital for months hoping to do this again.
Now ask me a couple of inane questions.
The question Sager never asked, why me? He fought his disease with an attitude positively plaid and paisley, pastel and polka dot.
The recipient of the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance, Craig Sager.
Whatever I might have imagined a terminal diagnosis would do to my spirit, it summoned quite the opposite. The greatest appreciation for life itself.
Sager's impassioned ESPY speech came shortly after he worked, remarkably, his first ever NBA Finals game.
How in the hell you go 30 plus years without getting a finals game? That don't make no sense. But I'm happy to see you, man. Much love and respect.
The finals both new and familiar. Sager with his guys, who were always there for him.
So you're an inspiration for us to just keep doing what we're doing, keep fighting, and that's the mentality we have, and it's kind of contagious, so thank you.
Craig Sager, the low-volume pro in the loud clothes, part of the fabric of the NBA, dead at the age of 65. A day for silent sidelines.
We are mourning the death of our friend Craig Sager, who died at the age of 65. There is no words, really, for what Craig meant to the NBA and how hard this is to talk about, just having this news reach us just a couple minutes ago. But, Tracy, I did want to ask you a little bit about the way players see certain media people around the game. I think that there's, hundreds of faces you see come and go outside your locker or on the sideline. What makes someone stick the way Craig stuck?
I think it's just how they come off, their personality, and how they embrace you as a player. Knowing what you're going through as a player, either at that particular time or just in your career. Craig was one of those guys that no matter what, you were going through, he made you feel comfortable. He made you want to be interviewed by him. he will always be with me for the simple fact that my best game in my NBA career, I got interviewed by Craig Sager, and that was 13 points in 35 seconds, the greatest game I ever played in my life. And who comes up to me after the game? It was Craig Sager, and I didn't know what the hell to say to him at that time, but he found some way to get it out of me, and I will always remember that.
And then sort of the marquee moment,
Absolutely.
right? You get the Craig Sager interview
Yes.
at the end of
Did you
it.
see in that tribute that we ran? He was at Hank Aaron's breaking the Babe Ruth record.
It ran around the bases. I
and
come
he was
back to
at-
that piece of video all the time. There have been so many times I have asked Craig about that. He said he just ran out there. And of course, a different era because now he would have been, tasered or something.
Who was going to stop him? I
Right,
don't
well,
think-
that's true.
But he was also at Game 6 of the NBA Finals this year. Now, think of that career. Think of what he saw.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like a professor. The amount of things that he was able to experience and be a part of. He's interviewing LeBron James after he scored 40 points and winning a finals game. He's interviewing Hank Aaron after, that's just, what a career.
Yeah.
And a resource, too, right, for players like you, Tracy, because when you came along, he had already been through so much and seen so much. And you said that you felt like he understood you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't always get that, certain media are coming at you with just sort of their preconceived notions. And what I always appreciated so much about Craig and watching him work was that he absorbed everything that he saw in this game for all of those years, and he brought that to the conversations he would have with new stars. And it was never had that old attitude of sort of, it was better in this day. He was always perpetually excited about what was coming next in a way that was just sort of so refreshing and also made you feel, if you were in my shoes, that, wow, if Craig is excited about this, I'm going to be excited about it too.
You're right, he always felt young. No matter how old it was, he always felt like he was like 25 years old. I don't know if it was the way he dressed. He was always in great shape. Always his energy.
Personality,
His
man.
energy was amazing. I mean, we saw his energy, like I said, at the ESPYs, but he always had so much energy, Rachel. I mean, that's what I'll never forget about him is that end of the night, beginning of the night, October, June, he always had energy.
It was always the same. Like, you never seen him down. You never seen him in a bad mood.
That's
He
true.
was always the same guy.
And he had, trust me, he had rough moments during this leukemia treatment, and he's talked about the fact there were times that he did have those why me moments, maybe in the middle of the night, but that he always quickly got back to understanding that he was someone who he felt could handle it, and that he was someone who could be an example to other people as he was to so many of us. His son told a really, helped write a book that I would certainly recommend to everyone. It's called Living Out Loud. It is amazing. And if right now you're remembering Craig the way we are, there's a lot of comfort in turning the pages of that book and sort of reading his old stories. And one of the ones was about how Craig, when he got out of school at Northwestern, thank you very much, something else I got to share with him, that he wrote to a bunch of media people looking for advice, and that he got a lot of no's and sort of don't bother me kids, and that the person who took the time to say, sure, absolutely, call me, was Vern Lundquist. And that is so telling about Vern to Craig. And then I know for a fact Craig has been that way to so many young journalists and young players, frankly, and speaks to the kind of guy he was and the example that he set for everyone. I believe we have some tweets from people, I was going to say around the league, but I'm sure it is around the sports world. Kevin Durant, long live Craig. We love you. Rest in paradise. We also have a tweet from Draymond Green. R.I.P. Sager. Was always great to see him arriving at work. Left his mark on the game. Rest up. And we also have this one from KP the Unicorn. Rest in peace, Craig Sager. And again, to your point, Brian, the fact that Kristaps Porzingis, that he was able to touch his life at a young age, and then going all the way back to all the people in the NBA that he touched. Certainly, I'm among those people. I think they had pulled some photos. This was nice moments with Craig and the Turner family. Craig, there, you talked about Game 6. That was at Game 6 of the NBA Finals, and such a great project between Turner and ESPN and ABC to have him come there at the ESPYs, which was the last time.
When we was watching that video that we played for Craig, and Craig Sager gave that interview with his son.
Yeah.
And he was talking to the camera about having, he wishing, he loves having his son there, but wished Craig was there. That gave me chills when he was talking. It really did. Gave me chills.
It's a really special family. I can tell you that, families are tested in times like this, right? And it shows what you're made of. Craig has 4 beautiful children. He has a wife who has been just an incredible rock for him. He has all kinds of extended family, and what they have done for and around him and been inspired by him has been amazing. And I will say that about how Craig is going to live on. He will certainly live on in the way we do our jobs every day. I think he's going to live on in the players, Tracy, that he touched.
Absolutely.
But the family that he leaves behind is such an amazing legacy. And I know that they will continue to do his work as they go forward. And really, he can feel good about who he leaves behind. We have
seeing him and Pop together, I wish they would have gone out on the road. When you see it together like that. Missed opportunity.
I'm going to read, producer Steve just handed me a statement here from Adam Silver. Craig was as vital to the NBA as the players and coaches, Adam Silver says. A true original, an essential voice on Turner Sports NBA coverage for 26 seasons. Craig chronicled some of the most memorable moments in league history and was a ubiquitous presence with his splashy suits and his equally colorful personality. Craig earned widespread respect for his insightful reporting. He inspired so many recently with his courage.
Rest easy, Craig. Rest easy,
as best
Fred.
as all of the rest of us can. We will be back tomorrow talking about the sport
Rest easy, man.
Craig loved, but we will not ever be done talking about Craig Sager. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. And Craig, always